and put your mobile phones on the silent mode. We are just about to begin. But before we begin the show, join me with a huge round of applause for our partners this evening. Our principal partners, Netcon, Paul John Visiting Center and Epson, supporting partners ABP Network, Nestle, Katra, Vijayvani, Digvijay, Enadu, Shimaru, Kochar, India Today Television, and Business Today. Our industry partners, the Council of EU Chambers of Commerce in India and Advertising Council of India. Our web media partners, AFAX, Campaign India, Best Media Info, AdGully, Media News for You, and MXN. Thank you so much for joining us. Please take your seats. We are just about to begin. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Can I sense the energy in this room? All of you look so fantastic here, and it's such a pleasure to be a part of this wonderful conference this year. You know, before we really begin, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take an opportunity to again sense the energy in this room. So let's do one thing. You know, let's start creating some energy. Are you all up for it? Are you ready to loosen up a little bit? Just loosen up a little bit, yes? Come on, everybody, don't shy. We've got two hands, let's put them to use here. Right? Okay. Loosen up, loosen up, loosen up. All right. Snap, snap, snap. 3 snaps. 1 clap. 2 snaps. 1 clap. 2 snaps. 1 clap. 2 snaps. 1 clap. 2 snaps. 2 claps. 1 snap. 2 claps. 1 snap. 2 claps. 3 snaps. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Loosen up, loosen up, loosen up, loosen up. Smile and just fist bump the person who's sitting next to you, because isn't it such a pleasure to meet each other physically and get to do all these things physically? Aren't you tired of doing it over the screens? This is such a great opportunity for all of us to come back after 2 or 3 years and meet each other in person here. So let's take that moment to soak it all in, to recharge ourselves with that energy and just bring back the magic of seeing each other live, meeting each other live, and creating some real magic from this stage right here today. Are you all ready for that? Shall we begin? On your orders? All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are just about to bring forward this wonderful, beautiful day before all of you. I would allow myself another opportunity to greet you again. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Shobha Rana, and I'm your host for today. And on behalf of International Advertising Association, it is my absolute pleasure to welcome all of you to IAA Global Summit on Nations as Brands. Ladies and gentlemen, it's so incredible to see all of you turning up in such large numbers. The IAA Global Summit on Nations as Brands is an effort that started as a small thought seeds about 3 years ago by the then chairman of the International Advertising Association and aimed to show the impact our industry has had not only on building brands but also on building nations. But before that, a little about IAA. IAA sees itself as the global compass of communication. Established in the year 1938, it now has a presence in over 56 countries with over 4,000 members from key media, marketing, advertising, and brand outlets. And one of the leading chapters in the IAA ecosystem is the India chapter, hosting this conference here in the capital city, Delhi. For 84 years, the IAA has played a stellar role in supporting key industry issues like freedom of commercial speech, self-regulation, responsible advertising, education and professional development. As arguably the most influential global Markov network, IAA through this conference aims to bring stories, studies, and conversations about nation building and geo-branding to the forefront. Ladies and gentlemen, India just completed 75 years of freedom this year on the 15th of August. And as India stands proud today as the largest democracy in the world, the fifth largest economy in the world, and one of the fastest growing economies of the world, brand India is truly ageless. And what sums up this better than a creative interpretation of the immortal spirit of India by the widely acclaimed Bharat Bana? Let's have a look on the screens. A glimpse of our India, our Bharat, in its magnificent spirit and glory. Ladies and gentlemen, and now to begin this summit, we will begin with what almost every event in India begins with, the lighting of the Holy Lamp. The lamp itself and the light it emits symbolizes the cosmic force or the divine energy. It stands for auspicious prosperity and abundance. It is lit with the belief that the light it will bring to us the brightness, and in doing so, it dispels the darkness and keeps us safe and protected. Ladies and gentlemen, as we begin this journey to light the Holy Lamp here and to commence the summit, please join me in welcoming with a huge round of applause Ms. Megha Tata, President, IAA India Chapter. Srinivasan K. Swami, Convener, IAA Global Summit. Please put your hands together for Honorable Mr. Tony Abbott, former Prime Minister of Australia. Please welcome PM Mahadevan, Chairperson, Nations as Brands. And we have Ramesh Narayan, Organizing Committee member and founder, Cango Advertising. May I request all of you to kindly proceed for the lamp lighting. Sir, may I request you to kindly join us on the other side of the stage for the lamp lighting. Ladies and gentlemen, in this auspicious light of this lamp, we seek the blessings of the Almighty for the successful execution of this summit, for a beautiful day for ourselves. Please put your hands together. The auspicious lamp is being lit in the hands of our dignitaries on stage. The auspicious lamp is being lit. Thank you so much for doing the honors. May I invite all of you to kindly join us on the dais. Take your seats here. All of you to kindly take your seats here. And may I also request Ms. Tata to kindly join us and formally welcome our audience to the summit. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome again Ms. Tata here on stage.
Thank you, Shobha. Good morning, friends. On behalf of the IAA India chapter, let me extend a very warm welcome to all of you who have joined us from different parts of the country and the globe. The IAA India chapter takes great pride in being able to host this global summit on nations as brands, as we explore various facets of what makes nations synonymous with certain brands, products, and sometimes categories altogether. In my role as the president of IAA India chapter, I've had the pleasure to interact and engage with various thought leaders from across the globe in the past 2 years, and each one of them have left an everlasting memory of the country they represent. That is what is vital about IAA Network globally. This summit, over the next 2 days, is going to cover everything from automobile to French luxury, from established brands to startup cultures, and will also focus on the various facets of India. With a great lineup of speakers from all across the globe, I cannot wait for the conversations to begin. I'm glad that we have the pleasure of some esteemed speakers with us for this summit, and a special mention to our guest, Honourable Mr. Tony Abbott, former Prime Minister of Australia, who has taken the time to be with us today. As a gesture of welcoming you to the summit and our country, sir, may I request Chairperson, Organising Committee, P.N. Mahadevan, to present a small token on our behalf. Thank you, Mr. Abbott. While our speakers will cover a broad range of topics in the sessions, as the representative of the IAA India chapter, I'd like to highlight some things about Brand India. We saw an amazing film by Bharat Bala, which is just like goosebumpy. Brand India has recently celebrated, as you know, the 75 years of its independence, has grown from a country of snake charmers to one of the most formidable economic powers in the world, and still continues to live with the philosophy of Aditi Devo Bhava, which means a guest is akin to God. Brand India's biggest growth curve came with its campaign, Make in India. While being invested in traditions and culture, we have surpassed most countries in the world with innovation, research, and development. A country that stands in this world with its head held high and a firm footing on the global stage. And a little bit of consideration of this brand building does go to the advertising and communication industry that has remained at the forefront of building individuals, brands, categories, and industries that stand out in the global world. And that progressive India, ladies and gentlemen, is what we project and present to the world. I would also once again like to extend a warm welcome to all our delegates, students, members of the media, and I would also like to take this opportunity to express my sincere gratitude to the entire IAA team, including Saumen, Archana, and Vishal, for holding the fort. Thank you to the team of Hansa Events for putting this beautiful show together. Thank you once again. To the organizing committee of the summit that has worked tirelessly, Sundar sir, Ramesh sir, Mr. Mahadevan, thank you very, very much for steering this and bringing it to fruition. I'd also like to thank our partners, our principal partners, Netcon, Paul Jordan Visiting Center and Epson, our supporting partners, ABP Network, Nestle, Katra, Vijayvani, Digvijay, Inadu, Shimaru, Kochar, India Today Television, and Business Today. Our industry partners, the Council of EU Chambers of Commerce in India and Advertising Council of India. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have a great set of 2 days with us. I really look forward to meeting you soon. Thank you so much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Ms. Tata, for your warm words of welcome. The efforts to put this summit together started about 3 years back by the then chairman, and through these turbulent times, they have worked tirelessly with the organizing committee to put this together. And to talk to us about this summit, please join me with a huge round of applause as I welcome on stage Mr. Srinivasan K. Swami, convener, IAA Global Summit, and immediate past chairman and world president, IAA Global, to kindly join us. Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause.
Yeah. Huh?
Honorable Mr. Tony Abbott, former Prime Minister of Australia, IAA India Chapter President, Mr. Megha Tata, Organizing Committee Chairman, IAA Global Summit, Mr. P. N. Mahadevan, Organizing Planning Committee Chairman, Mr. Ramesh Nayak, speakers, partners, media, and distinguished audience. I've been reminded by Shobha, I think 2 times, and I think Megha also agreed with that this program has been in the making for the last 3 years. When I was chairman of IAA, I wanted this done during my term. It was to happen by 2020 September. Okay, we now setting the clock forward. We're getting it done 2 years later in September 2022. I'm happy that this has finally come about as in-person event, not just another virtual event, which all of us tired of. And so many of you are taking time to be part of that virtual event, of this live event. Mostly equally happy that IAA Global and IAA India chapter thought it fit that I should be the person to lead this event, which has now come out pretty well, as we can see. When we started planning this event, our surmise was simple. We said that we saw a strong connection, symbiotic relationship between nation and the product. And this relationship either built the nation as a brand or helps position the product based on that nation. So that's why it's a two-way street. Actually, nations build brands. Brands actually add value to the nation. Over time, in many instances, as branding became an all-pervasive item, the products or services become synonymous with the original nations from where that product took root. Let me give some examples. When you think of new age technology, you automatically think of the Silicon Valley. The concentration of tech entrepreneurs by design or accident is not material. But the word silicon was brought in by the category of businesses that area developed well, and therefore it's called the Silicon Valley. Now it's known as Silicon Valley. Or say startup nations, and you'll get the name Israel in your head. Think luxury products, wine, haute couture, or cuisine, and France is what comes first in our minds. So if you look at many products from many categories, it is very evident that there is a connection between the product that comes from a particular country and the hue of the nation gets added onto the product. Over the next 2 days, we will have a different set of speakers, different kinds of speakers, not generally seen in the marketing and communication world. Since the event is taking place in India, we also have thrown in a few subjects that actually puts our country center stage. Further, we're just celebrated our 70th year of independence, and therefore we have to rebuild on the patriotic fervor that we all had just a month ago. In this very next session, we'll have the release of a report on nation brands prepared by Brand Finance of the UK with special emphasis on India. We will have highlights of this report presented to us by senior Brand Finance representative, Ajimon Francis, the managing director of Brand Finance India. And this will be commented upon by our own Amitabh Kant, who is a G20 Sherpa, and he is also going to speak on the subject of New India in the Committee of Nations. We have separate sessions on countries and categories of products. For instance, we have a session in the Western world where many brands and technologies are born. We have another one on 3 European countries, which is France, Belgium, and Switzerland. As categories go, we have an exclusive session on automotives, where we will hear that luxury cars come from Germany, stylish cars come from Italy, and well-made, rugged cars come from Japan, and so on. We could. We don't know what the speakers are going to say, but we could hear some content of that kind from our speakers. I'm very happy with the quality of speakers that have been able to put together. They are not the usual ones in the conference circuit. This summit is a culmination of hard work put together by the chairman of the organizing committee, Mr. P.N. Mahadevan. He single-handedly brought in many eminent speakers and also bulk of the money that is required to run this world-class event. Of course, an event of IAA India cannot be complete without the tireless Ramesh Narayan, who as Chairman Planning Committee gave the summit its shape and form and sweated the details. I must add that the full committee of the IAA India chapter, headed by the admirable Ms. Megha Tata, was a pillar of support in organizing this event. Thank you, ma'am. Lastly, I must acknowledge the support given by IAA World President Joel Noti to this event. His perseverance and nudging to give this global event globally hosted in India was another reason why it's happening today. He is not here today, though he was scheduled to be here, because just as he was about to board a flight, he discovered he had contracted COVID, and that was making travel impossible for him. We are missing him here. Let me conclude by adding my own welcome to Honorable Mr. Tony Abbott. He had a long 13-hour flight yesterday. To add to that, there was a 6-hour delay in his departure. So poor man had to sit in the lounge for maybe 6-7 hours before he could board the flight. And then, yesterday was not a good day for him to travel because it was Australia's Father's Day, and he has 3 lovely daughters, and he had to actually be on the plane without being with his family. So thank you, Tony, for being great person that you are, that you could come all the way to be with us. So we are very happy with your presence here, and I know that a truly global citizen such as you is the most appropriate person to inaugurate the Summit on Nations as Brands. I also wish to acknowledge the presence and support we have received for the wonderful set of speakers that we have here. And of course, our partners, without whom this event would have been a non-starter. So last but not the least, my delegate friends in the audience, you have going to have great learning experience over the next 2 days. Be there, enjoy, and have a good time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your address. And now for our inaugural address, we have the pleasure of having with us someone who, from being in the Marcom industry, went on to lead one of the most diverse nations in the world. He has studied economics, law, political science, and philosophy. Over the years, from being a journalist and advisor to taking active part in the welfare activities, in his term as the Prime Minister of Australia, he has brought about some groundbreaking changes to his country and brand Australia. To commence our summit with a huge round of applause, please welcome Honourable Mr. Tony Abbott, former Prime Minister of Australia. Ladies and gentlemen, keep the applauses going on as we welcome Honourable Mr. Tony Abbott, former Prime Minister of Australia. Welcome, sir. Such a pleasure meeting you, please.
Well, one of the lessons is never let the speaker be parted from his speech, because you never know when it might have to be given. I am really honoured to be here. It's always a joy to be here in India. And yes, I did have to sacrifice Father's Day in Australia with my family, but it's a good cause, it's a great country, and it's a better world because of what we're doing here today. It is an honour to be at a conference such as this that does bring people together from different countries to work for the betterment of mankind based on all that we have in common. And it's so fitting that we meet here in India, the world's largest democracy, also one of the world's oldest democracies, a nation that's endured partition, war, poverty, and the wet blanket of low expectations, yet is now the world's fastest growing large economy and a bastion of the freedom that's under sudden and unexpected challenge. The fall of the Berlin Wall and the collapse of Soviet communism was supposed to mark the final triumph of liberal capitalism. And it certainly did usher in the best times in human history. Back in 1990, more than 30% of the world's people lacked access to safe drinking water and lived in absolute poverty. By 2020, fewer than 10% were so afflicted. And in the quarter century, up till 2020, more wealth was created than in the previous 25,000 years. The world has been richer, safer, freer, fairer, and yes, greener too than ever before. Even in Africa and in much of the Middle East, living standards have been rising. And in countries such as India, China, Indonesia, Turkey, Thailand, and Vietnam, something like 1 billion people have moved from the third world to the middle class in scarcely a generation. So our task is to keep this momentum, each of us doing our bit towards it, in our families, in our workplaces, in our neighbourhoods, in our personal networks, as well as on the bigger stage, striving to be our best selves, individually and collectively, and striving to help others to be their best selves, more thoughtful, more industrious, more creative, and more generous-spirited.